developing an action plan to match projected labor supply and demand. Once we would be able to determine the supply and demand of the workforce, now we have to develop an action plan. Action plan can be developed in order to match projected labor supply and demand. HR planning should logically conclude in a workforce action plan. How to develop an action plan? It has two parts. One, it includes employers' projected HR supply-demand gaps. And second, it has staffing plans. The staffing plan should identify the positions to be filled. Action plans can never be completed without allocating appropriate resources. Action plan will need resources that may need to implement the staffing plan. What kind of resources these are? Resources might include advertising cost. Advertising cost may vary from local newspaper to national newspaper and international newspaper. So we have to decide what kind of advertising we are going to do. Then there is a choice of employment agencies. There are national employment agencies and there are international employment agencies. Then there are recruiter fees. Then there are number of relocation costs we have to keep in mind. There can be a travel expense for HR managers, for line manager, and sometimes for your prospective employees. And there are number of interview expenses. So we have to keep all these resources in mind so we can include all these resources in an action plan. After an action plan, there is a recruitment yield pyramid. What is it? It is the arithmetic relationship between recruitment leads and invitees and interviews and offers made, and offers accepted. You can understand through this particular diagram. If you see on the basis of this pyramid, there are 1200 leads generated. Out of that 1200 recruitment leads, only 200 candidates invited for the interview. However, out of this 200, only 150 candidates interviewed really in the organization because of several reasons. We will discuss these reasons in detail in the next chapter. Out of 150, there are only 100 offers made. And out of that 100, only 50 were new hires for your organization. So out of 1200 leads, only 50 are the new hires. So recruitment yield pyramid, there are 4 components. First, the ratio of offers made to actual new hires is only 2:1. While the second ratio is the ratio of candidates interviewed to offer made. That ratio is 3:2. There is a third ratio. That ratio is the ratio of candidates invited for interviews to candidates interviewed really in organization. And that ratio is about 4:3. And if you see at the end, finally the firm knows that of 6 leads that come in from all its recruiting sources, it typically invites only 1 applicant for an interview, a 6:1 ratio. It shows that whenever we need to do HR planning, we need to generate more recruitment leads so we can hire most effective workforce for our organization.